Gentlemen, welcome to the studio this evening where we are going to paint that little picture up there. Let me make that a bit bigger for you. There you go. That's the picture that we're going to paint, and this is a bit of my hometown. This is the bay that I live on, and just past the rock there, that big giant rock on the left-hand side of your screen, and just past that little straight of basically sand out there lies the big mean Pacific Ocean, and that's pretty nice. Liza is here. Hello. Sherry is here. Anybody else who's here, feel free to say hello. So as always, I've pre-drawn my image here. I've got it on a piece of, I'm going to say 10.5 by 10.5 bow hung student grade watercolor paper. No reason to use the student grade paper other than the fact that it was handy when I needed to cut some paper. So there is that. Liza, you've been working on water, so it's going to be great, or so you think. I don't know. I haven't been working on water, so it might not be all that great. Susie is here. Welcome, Susie. So I'm going to get started. And you all know I have had trouble with skies, and if you look, I've got 2/3 of this painting is sky. I'm going to try to do a nice sky. I thought I got over some of my sky issues a couple of weeks ago when we did that beautiful trail, that landscape of a trail that was just down the road from me. And then we did that lighthouse that I thought was pretty nice, had a pretty nice sky. I've actually got both of those hanging in my office. Really like those, but I do still feel a little trepidation about painting skies. I don't feel as though I'm still probably as proficient as I'd like to be about it, but we're going to get a little practice in, and we're going to talk about it right here, and we'll see how it goes. Natalie is here. Hello, Natalie. Great to have you here. I really enjoy all you that show up every week, all you regulars. I really appreciate having you guys here. It really does. I'm trying to lean away so I can see a little bit of the reflection of the water here. And it really does make this feel like a bit of a community, and that makes me feel really nice, and it makes me want to continue on with these Wednesday streams. And of course, anybody who's stops in, who's not a, one of the regulars, the people who've been here for a long time, well, it's your opportunity to become a regular. If you're watching this later on, feel free to stop by and say hello on one of these Wednesday streams. That would be great to have you here, and maybe we'll entice you to become a regular too. So I'm just mixing up some really light color of blue here, and I'm gonna just drop this somewhere down on the horizon. Right, as we think about color in the sky, one of the things I do know is that in general, the color gets a little lighter as it works its way towards the horizon. So I want to have some really light colors down here on my horizon line. And I want to make sure that as I'm going up, right, I can put in some darker colors, but I want to leave some lighter areas in here too. Liza says, me too. I hope that me too is in response to feeling a little bit of community here with everybody else. I think that's fantastic, and quite honestly, I didn't expect that to happen when I started doing these Wednesday live streams. It's just something that came about, and I give all of you guys the credit for that. I might play a small part in that. In that I've offered the vehicle for everybody to utilize to get here, but you all have done so much to welcome me into your lives too, and I feel like I've gotten to know a lot of you through my time painting. Sherry, you too. Honestly, I'm stoked to hear some people say that. It makes me feel really good inside. I hate to say it, but even if nobody learns any watercolors from me, which might make me a little sad, it does make me happy that we do all get together. So I'm gonna do a little something a little different here. I'm gonna hope to do this. I'm gonna hope this isn't gonna really turn green. I'm gonna put a little bit of an ochre color down here at the bottom. All right, I'm going to blend that up a little bit. Whoops, I'm off the screen. Somebody's got to tell me. Whose job was it this week to tell me that I'm off the screen? There we go. I think that's going to add just a little bit of interest to this. It's going to warm this up as it comes down to the bottom. And I'm actually going to add a little bit of this Paynes Gray in here while it's still wet and I still have the opportunity to add a little bit of color in here. I'm just going to drop some bits of Paynes Gray, if I could say it at all. That'd be awesome. Some little bits of Paynes Gray here and there. I've mixed it a little bit with the blue. I don't want to take too much of that nice, beautiful blue color away, but just a little bit of color. A little bit of a different color here and there. Sherry is saying we all have a little bit in common. That little bit, I think, is watercolors, or at least the enjoyment that we get out of artwork, right? Whether that's watching, or whether that's painting, or whether it's just talking about it, there's something there that makes you feel nice when you can get out and see somebody doing a little artwork and understand maybe a little bit about how they're doing it or why they're doing it. It's just a really nice thing. All right, I think that's going to be basically my sky. This is pretty wet still, but I'm just going to soften up a couple of these edges here. And I think that's going to be it. And I'm hoping, right? I was going to knock on wood, but I'm not sure. I don't have any wood around here to knock on. Here, I got some wood right here. Knock on wood that this is going to come off nicely. We'll have a nice little something to see when we're all done. But we've got some nice little clouds up here. it warms as it comes down to the bottom, I think we'll all see something really nice here. Okay, so I just jumped in to this, right? I told you what paper I have. It's my Bao Hong paper. I can get the roll of it and show you. I just rolled it out and cut it out. I measured it this way and measured it that way and made sure they were both the same or same-ish and gave it a cut. As always, the paints that I've got here on my right-hand side, as I am right-handed, are my M-Gram paints. The colors should be scrolling right down there. You can see what all of those are. And still, the brushes, if I can remember what my tools are, the brushes that I'm using are still my King Art brushes. I do... Oh, hello, Sudike is here. Hello, hello, hello. You are yourself tonight. You did log in as a different person, also yourself, last week, which was interesting. I have been contacted by a brush company to review some of their brushes, so fingers crossed. I know I said I had some brush stuff worked out before and it didn't pan out, but fingers crossed this time it's going to work out and you'll see some different brushes coming through soon. We can talk about those. Ooh, already I kind of like the sky up here a little bit. I wish I'd have put a little bit of maybe some red in it or something, but I like the shape of the clouds here, the dramatic, a little darker up here. I could probably push this even further if I really wanted to, make it darker up here. And I like how it lightens as it goes back, helps to give that illusion of some depth. Already we've got that illusion of some depth. We'll get some more of it when we start putting in some things in the foreground here. So, just taking a little water off of there. So, let's talk about the image here. Where am I going to? While we're waiting for this to dry a little bit. Now, if you really look at my my drawing, you'll see my boats are in a little different position. They're a little differently sized than on this reference photo. But I will tell you one thing I wish I had done a little bit different, and I drew it before I even thought about it, and I wish I hadn't done it quite like that. Okay, you can see that image a bit bigger, right? This boat is bigger, this boat is bigger. That's going to pull the whole thing forward a little bit. If they're a little smaller, it's going to push the whole thing back a little bit. But I wanted a little bit bigger boat. The only thing I wish I had done is, in addition to pulling this smaller boat in, I wish I had pushed this larger boat further over to the side. Right now, this mast is pretty much going to bisect the painting in half. And I wish I had moved it over maybe to the third mark over here. I think this would have been a much more dynamic painting had I done that. Having said that, I think it's going to be really nice right now. Let's see. Had to get a Sudike. Hi Natalie. Had to get a new computer. A new computer. Wow. New computer is great and a pain at the same time. Truer words probably have never been spoken. Okay, so let's jump into some water, and I'm going to do a mix of a little bit of Paynes Gray, a little bit of neutral tint, and a little bit of Ultramarine Blue. That's kind of what I want my water to be. And if I can find a sheet of paper here, not that one. See, here we go. Then I'll show you kind of what my water is going to be. I want it to be this kind of a steely gray color, maybe just a little bit bluer than that. There we go. That's what the base of my water is going to be. And of course mine will be in focus. There we go. So it's going to be something like that. And then after we get this nice blue, this is when I think of the water in the bay here where I'm at, it's not blue. It's like darker. It's deep. Parts of it are deep, and it's got this I don't know, ominous kind of a feel to it. So I know that's like a light blue, maybe a little cerulean. If we want to lighten it up a little bit later on, we can. Cerulean is semi-opaque, so we'll have the opportunity to do that, especially if we put this first layer on pretty light. Natalie says, Windows likes to tell you how to run your life and your computer. It's true. It's very true. Windows is very good at telling you how your computer should be set up and why you're doing it wrong if you don't set it up that way. Let's see. It takes great pictures. You get a new phone and lots of getting things sorted out, but it takes great pictures. Most new phones, the best part of the phone is the camera. The phone part is just kind of so-so on most of them, I've found, but the camera part of it is, holy cow, unbelievable. I guess that's because everybody knows that's really what we use phones for anyways. We don't use phones for phones. That's so 1995. And I guess one thing to say while I'm doing this is that while I did my sky in wet style, I'm not really doing this in wet style. But I don't really think it's going to make that much of a difference because I'm going to be really quick and get this paint on fairly quickly. Tracy is here. Hello, Tracy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if I watched the right videos, Tracy, what I should say is happy birthday also. Did I get that right? I hope I got that right. I watched the video and it looked like if I watched the right video at the right time, it looks like your daughter took you out for a nice birthday trip, or at least birthday dinner and whatnot. It looked fantastic. If I'm looking at it right or not, it's regardless of whenever it happened, it looked great. I wish I knew how to use my new computer like you got about a year ago. Oh, Sherry. You'll get it figured out. Computers are a little weird, but you'll get it totally figured out. It just takes a little bit to sit down and go through things. I actually had to learn some video editing, photo editing, I guess photo editing too. I used to have a Mac computer, and iMovie was fantastic and so easy. And then I got a PC, and everything seemed to get harder, and I've gone through about 4 different programs to try and figure out how to edit videos and make some nice videos and whatnot. And I think I finally figured out what I want to do, but it took forever. Difficult in some respects. Not too difficult in some others, though. I'm just going to put some lines on here. Maybe there's a few little waves on here. Here and there. I'm going to try not to do too much down here. I want these to kind of just meld out a little bit. Melissa is here. Hello, Melissa. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions about anything, please throw them out. Even if they're about watercolors, I'll probably be able to help you a little bit. Although everybody who's here will probably jump on and give you some advice on a few things too, but I'm happy to talk about whatever. Oh man, this is just not quite right. Hang on a minute. I gotta move my manual. I'm gonna move my manual zoom here. Ugh. That way I can get the entire painting in there. That looks a little better. Now my mouse is in the way. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Tracy says you had so much fun. I'm happy to hear that. Like I said, it looked fantastic. So I'm just trying to do what I normally do, which is to stall just a little bit until my painting is just dry enough that I can move on to the next stage. I knew that this was going to be big. I thought I could stall a little bit and then do this. And by the time I got done with this, then this would be dry. It's not quite dry yet. So, trying to think what we can do. How about this? Next week, if my calendar is right, next week is the last week in September. So it will be the challenge painting that I'm going to be doing. The challenge for September is, coneflower. So if anybody wants to join the challenge, you can get on my Discord server and just paint a coneflower and post your picture up there, and we'll all revel in how good it looks. If you don't want to post your picture, that's fine. You can just paint a coneflower at home. And then next week, right here, I'll be painting a coneflower, and you'll see how I go about doing it. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. Regardless of how good or how bad the painting is, we'll all have a good time while we're here. That's always a plus. All right, we're drying a little bit. We're getting there. I'm going to drop down a brush size. This was the biggest brush that I was using. This is a size 12. I'm actually going to set it off to the side so I don't have to worry about that. I do have a couple of other brushes here that I don't typically use, or you don't see me use that often. You've seen me use this, which is a rigger. This is a size 2/0 rigger. We've got some ropes and gear rigging, I guess is what we have there. And then I've got a little flat brush here that I'm going to use to paint the mast with. I like using a flat brush to paint straight lines with. I've got an angle liner here too. You can just get some paint on your brush and tap, and get a straight line that way. You get a really interesting effect, and usually can get a bit straighter of a line. At least I can, rather than trying to draw a line this way. Okay, so now this big old rock in the corner here, it's actually quite a few colors. It changes color all the time depending upon the time of day and the amount of sun that's on it. Some days I will look at this thing and it is gray. Sometimes I will look at it, it is bright orange. Sometimes I'll look at it, it's red or pink. Today we're going to paint it kind of a middle brown, right? It's that color a lot. Maybe we'll add a little gray or a little blue into some of these areas here, just for a little bit of interest. But it's an interesting rock because it sits out on the water. It gets a lot of sunlight, and here we get a lot of fog. So the fog plays a little bit of havoc with the amount of light that gets to it, and it changes the feeling of the light, the color of the light. So it's just this really interesting rock that sits out there. It's actually, if I haven't said it before, and I probably have at some point, it's actually the cap of an extinct volcano. What you're looking at is really just a volcanic plug that's just been pushed up out of the ocean. by tectonic forces. I know this is it's a watercolor channel, Michael. Let's kind of keep it to watercolors a little bit. I'll try. But I've tried to, for a long time now, encourage people to, paint things around them. Paint things around your house. Paint things around your neighborhood. That is way too bright. Paint things that you see every day, because those things that you see every day, you're probably going to have more familiarity with. You're probably going to have more comfort with. That's going to make you more comfortable when you're painting. And I think you'll end up with a better painting that you're going to enjoy more in the end. So I really worked hard to find a nice little image of a sailboat and a little bit of a seascape here for this week. I was deciding between this little view of the rock, where the rock just kind of gives you a peek, and something a little further away where there's a boat's kind of in front of the rock and they cover the rock and whatnot. But this is the one I eventually settled upon. I like this image. And then this is just, these two are just big sandy areas here. I've looked up like 4 times and nobody's said anything. This is one of these times when I'm like, am I saying stuff right? Am I saying stuff wrong? What's going on here? I know you're all still there. You're all listening to me intently. I just get a little nervous about it. I've had my computer shut down so many times and had so many troubles with it. I'm just a little nervous. Well, we just touched and we got a little bit of a run there. I'm going to just pick that out a little bit. Let's see. Sherry says, we've been traveling for the last 2 weeks and been camping in the interior of British Columbia. Wow. You've got some amazing pictures. Paint them. I bet you do. That's probably stunningly beautiful area over there. I am jealous of that. First of all, I will just admit to that. Wish I could be camping in British Columbia. It sounds completely amazing. I have. Did I tell y'all last week I started going fishing at this little reservoir up the road from me? I'm going to tell you what, when I go out there, I feel like I'm a million miles from anywhere else. It's just this little slice of, I call it kind of like a little slice of nowhere, but it's only, a couple of miles from everything. But it's situated in such a way that you get no traffic noise, you get no ocean noise, you get nothing but bird calls and animals and whatnot. The occasional tourist and whatnot, they still come through too, but it's an amazing place to be there. And I'm only just here in this little area slightly away from the city, so I can imagine what being in British Columbia is probably unbelievably fantastic right now. So honestly, really, I am jealous. Let's see. Anybody watch the lunar eclipse last night here in Arizona? It was very unimpressive. Interesting. Liza, you're just watching. I get thank you. I get that. Let's see. Natalie, by me, the moon has been fabulous the last 2 nights. Interesting. I didn't see any of it. It's too cloudy here. Natalie says to Sherry, can't wait to see the paintings from your trip. There you go. The moon was fabulous, but the clips were not. That's why. That's the way fishing should be. A mini retreat. Oh, it's so nice. Literally, I go out there and I get lost. Last weekend, I was laughing at myself. Last weekend, I was like, the spot I like to fish out there is, it's about a 2.5 mile hike to get to where I want to go. And I got out there and I was like, man, this is wonderful. This is fantastic. And I did my fishing, and then I was like, well, it's time to head back. And so I started walking back, and on the way, I'll stop a little bit and look around and see what's there. I'm just going to stop here for a little bit and enjoy this for a little bit. And you go to the next spot. Well, I'm going to stop here and enjoy this for a little bit. And before I knew it, it was almost 1 o'clock before I ever left the whole place. It was so nice. I saw bald eagle, some vultures, many hawks. This is beautiful. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll probably be out there. I'm going to say probably. I'm going to be out there this weekend. I'll shoot some video out there, and I'll bring it back and show you just how wonderful it really is. Because it really is kind of a sanctuary away from anywhere. You cannot see any building. There's nothing built up. There's a trail, and that's it. Oh no, you just lost your earbud in your camera. Oh no. Okay. So I've got a little work to do here, because this sandbar, and this is not a sandbar, on the other side of this is our main beach. But this beach and this little road that comes out to the rock really is separate than this one in the front here. So got a little work to do to separate those, but even if they don't get separated, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It still looks just about like it's supposed to. But I'm going to start to build up our rocks here. I will be painting them for sure. Not much time for plein air. Oh, that's what I was going to say. We used to take these little trips with my family. I don't know why we don't really anymore. I guess we've all just gotten a little busy. My kids have gotten a little older. We've all gotten just a little busier. I guess that's the only reason. But we would go, and the kids would be running around playing and whatnot, and I would sit down, even if it's with just a little tiny notebook, and instead of taking pictures of everything, I would just sit and paint, even if it was a simple little painting of things. It doesn't have to be complex or anything like that. And what ends up happening is, it's this really cool phenomenon, is that when you actively draw the area that you're in, it makes this bigger connection in your brain, and you remember it that much more. And so we'd get home, and we're all talking about, our trip and whatnot, and I'm going, oh, do you remember this? Oh, do you remember that? And they're like, no, well, is that really how it was? I don't remember that. And I'll be like, well, hold on a second, just let me pull out my notebook. Let's take a look. Because I drew it just like this. And so I had this really vivid connection to all of the places that we visited. So if you can do the paintings of it, even if it's after the fact, it'll probably trigger a lot of memories from you in there and really help settle some of those memories in place. I thought that was a really interesting phenomenon that takes place. Okay, I feel as though I've gotten away a little bit from talking about the painting here. Maybe that's not true. I feel like it a little bit. So I'm just trying to build up a little dimension in this big rock off to the side here. So where I had drawn a crack or a crevice, I'm just putting in a little color, and I'm blending it out. And it's making a dark line and blending it, and a dark line and blending it, to make it look like these rocks are stacked right next to each other. All right, the colors that I've done here, that I've used here, really aren't that important. But there's a little bit of Paynes Gray, a little bit of Sepia in here, and to warm it up over here, a little bit of whatever's mixed in here, which is yellow ochre and burnt umber. A little bit like that. Let's see. You have nice memories to look back on, Michael. Great idea. Thank you. But it's not my idea. I did it. It's not my idea. I'd love to take credit for it, but I don't feel like I can. All right. So what do I want to do now? This bled just a little bit over here. I'm not wild about it, but we'll deal with it. Okay, so I like my sky up here. I like this little bit of gray that got mixed in here in a couple of places. I think that helps to give a little bit of shape to those clouds. I do wish, looking back again, I do wish maybe I'd have put a little bit of pink or some really, really light red in here. It would have set off part of this a lot. Actually, I could have done a little bit of yellow in here too. Would have really set off these clouds a little bit, but I like where it's at. Might be a little bright for my taste. We don't get too many bright days like that here in my neck of California, but when we do, they are these nice bright cerulean blue skies. They're wonderful. Natalie, you went out to our arboretum today. I didn't paint though. Didn't find a good spot to sit, and without the sun and ants. And ants. That's a tough thing, isn't it? That's one of the hardest things to do, is to find a good place to sit, because if you can't sit down, it makes it really difficult to do a good painting. Okay, so yes, I'm still stalling. Trying to figure out, you could add can't you add the pink and yellow? I can add the pink and yellow, but in order to add the pink and yellow, I feel as though I would have to re-wet the entire top so that I get the same level of softness on it as I have on the stuff below. I don't know that if I put it on there and then try to manipulate it, try that and see what happens. If I put it on there and manipulate it, that I would be able to do the justice. I think it would always look different than what's on there. But let's see what it looks like. Maybe we'll come back and do that. All right, so what I need to do, I need to find a gray, a really light gray, and because I'm going to cheat, I'm going to use Paynes Gray, and I just want to take a little bit of the color off of these sailboats here. I just don't want them to be quite so bright. Lots of things bother me when they're super white. I like to leave that color for some highlights, but that's about it. It's a me thing. I'll totally admit that's a me thing. I just have a bit of a problem with really white whites. But let's see what happens here. Now, I like these boat covers that are boat covers. I said boat covers. I meant sail covers that are just this really bright pop of cerulean blue. Lots of boats are like that. I have never quite figured out why, but they're like that. So I'm going to paint my cover here a nice mix of cobalt and cerulean blue. I think it's going to add a nice pop of color right in the middle of this. So get that color on there, and then I'm going to come back in with a bit of a stronger mixture. Come on, stronger mixture. I won't be able to do it at the moment. I can't do it at the moment. I was going to drop it on there and let the paint give us a shadow line on there, but it's not wanting to work with me, so that's okay. We'll move on to the next thing. So I got these boats. I got some color on them. They're starting to be developed. I'm trying to see what's wet and what's dry. This paper stays wet a little longer than I think I had planned on, and that's fine. part of the fun of doing this is figuring out how the tools work, right? I'm going to add another layer of color onto these rocks. See if we can't. This wasn't quite dry enough, but it'll work out. Is that all still damp? Why is that one still damp? I don't know. Let's see what happens over here. Still too damp. All right. I'll tell you what we're going to do. This wouldn't be where I would do this, but we're going to add a water line. We're going to pivot just a little bit. We're going to add a water line onto our beach here. For me, a water line, in this instance, a little bit of neutral tint, a little bit of burnt umber, and just add a water line here. Right? It's exactly what it sounds like. If it's not straight, that's okay. You know, there's some irregular rocks here. A few places it might come out. There's a few places it might recede in a little bit. But this is where the tide butts up against those rocks, causes a bit of just a dark water stain. Maybe there's something that's growing there. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just know that you put this dark line on there. It seems to add just that other little dimension to what we're doing. Right? And you could add, it can come up the side here a little bit. Maybe there's a little rock right there. It's just going to help add to our painting here. There we go. I like that. I'm just going to pull that across. Good. I like that. I was doing some painting last week. This is from Sherry. And I got swarmed with millions of tiny flies. My painting was very granulated. I had to keep brushing them off. And my painting had to keep brushing them off my painting and had to give my palette a complete wash, I'm guessing. A complete immersion bath. Interesting. Honestly, I'm not even sure what to say about that. I personally haven't experienced that, but I will admit we don't have too many bugs here. For whatever reason, I haven't exactly figured out why we don't have too many bugs here. But we don't have too many bugs here, and I've never seemed to have had, they're pinpoint sized. Interesting. Almost like a no-see-em or something. A gnat. It could be a gnat, some kind of a gnat. That's really interesting. And they're so bad that they really affected your painting, which is interesting. I'll be honest, I probably would have packed up and went away. The gnats here bite at sunset. Gnats at sunset. I get the gnats at sunset, I guess. Bugs like to come out when they feel as protected as they can, right? They don't want birds swooping in and eating them and whatnot. I guess there's more birds than bats, probably. I know the bats will eat them too. Sherry, you've never seen anything like that. I don't. That's interesting. I think it's really interesting. I think the worst I've had were a few houseflies bothering me. I couldn't figure out why the houseflies bother me. So I sprayed him with my water bottle. I was like, get out of here. And it worked great for, 10 minutes or so. And then they came right back. Okay, I'm going to just wet this a little bit. This larger of the two sailboats in front. And I'm going to take some of my watercolor and I'm going to darken it a little bit. And I'm just going to put some right along the bottom there. Because as this boat curves down and curves in, right, I want it to be a little darker at the bottom. This is my own thing. I don't know if anybody else does this, quite frankly. I don't know if you're supposed to do this on a boat. But it just seems to me, so this might be something that'll work out here. I don't know who wanted to paint boats. I always struggle with boats. I struggle with painting lots of things. But there are two things I really laugh at that I struggle with. One are boats and one is water. And I live a half mile from the ocean. And I have as many subjects for both as I would ever want. And they still both flummox me to death. Completely flummoxed by them. I can't figure it out. So cool, look at that effect of this boat here. So now you can see there's a bit of a shadow on the bottom of those. It's getting there. It's getting there, it really is. I can come back in with my blue color. I'm going to drop in some dark in there. I don't know if you can even see. It's a little light. There's some shadows in here. Might still be just a touch wet, but we're okay with that. And I've got to wait there. I've got to wait here. I've got to wait there. What can I do? I'm going to lighten up some of these rocks a little bit. Just a touch on the top side over here, maybe. This is an opaque color. This is yellow ochre. It's somewhat opaque. So we put a little bit on the top of a couple of these. Might give it a little bit of interest. Something to vary this color a little bit. Maybe we put a little bit of blue on one here. Something to help this along. Give it some additional visual interest here. Right, so this color won't go all the way down. Right, it's just going to sit right on the edge of these rocks. If we got a lot of it, that's fine. If we got a little bit of it, that's fine. All of a sudden, those look totally different. This year, it's pavement ants. Look at the difference in those already. Just that little bit of yellow ochre I put on there. That's quite a little bit of difference there. I think it's a nice little effect. Helps to warm it up. That little bit. It doesn't do much, but it adds a little extra touch of color, adds a little touch of something to it that it may not have had before. Nice definition on the rocks. Thank you. So we got a little bit of that. Now, I do know that I want the water to be darker, right? I want the water to be darker. I want to see darker water in here. I want to be able to see a reflection of the sailboat. So while I'm waiting for this sailboat, because I think I can do it without touching much of any of it, I'm going to start with some reflections around the sailboat. And this is how I'm going to do this. Right? And basically what I'm trying to paint is everything that is not getting reflected. Right? So you understand what I'm talking about. I'm now going to pull this out a little bit. And there's my Sailboat boat reflection. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one over here. That's too much paint. A little bit in here, something. There you go. So there's the reflection of that boat. So that's how I want to handle my... I kind of tricked you. I didn't paint a positive image here. When I painted the water, I kind of painted a negative image. That's pretty dark. So I want my water to be a bit darker, and then we'll leave some lighter spots here and there in there, but a nice lighter spot, some darker areas. But I want this to be a bit darker through here. I'm hoping against hope that this is going to help the Sailboat pop off the page that little bit. If I just left that with a lighter water color, a color of water, a lighter watercolor, a lighter color of water, then it kind of gets hard to see the white boat on there. But if I darken this water up, all of a sudden that white boat should become much easier to see. Should become much easier to see. That's my thinking. And I have been wrong before. Twice. Maybe 3 times. Probably just today. But let's give this a try. I'm going to follow through with this and let's see how it looks. So I can go really dark around this anchor buoy. I think that's making them stand out a bit more. Maybe in here it's a little lighter. Maybe. So I haven't done the mast yet. I haven't done we're really up close to the shoreline yet. I'm not done with the rocks over here yet, but this should start to set quite a bit of definition in here. We can get some bigger, not bigger, but you know, some wave type areas here. Darker. Never sure how to do too many waves either. Okay, I think I can live with some of this. It looks like there's some disturbance on the water anyways. I guess that's half of what I was looking for. Right, I don't want to have the entire the entire blue just be blue. I've got some nice lighter areas in there. I've got some nice darker areas in there. I like that. I've got this area where I can, right, here's the water line on the bottom of the boat here. Right, and let's get that line on the top of the boat up here. Something like that. That's the water line. That's everything else. A couple of windows in here. Is it looking like a boat yet? I hope it's starting to look like a boat. I'm going to come back to I think this is one of the ones where you do it a little bit, you do it a little bit, you do it a little bit, and you're like, I don't know, is this going to be right? And then you put something down at the end and you go, you know what? That's exactly what I wanted. I think this is how this one is going to be. Oh, it looks like I've lost a few people here. Probably because I'm just yammering away. I hope I'm not losing anybody because I'm not telling them what I'm doing. This is a little bit of anybody who watches and wants to know how to do something, let me know. I'm always happy to talk and tell you more about what I'm doing. I'm just not exactly sure how much everybody wants. There's a little olive green in here. All right, this green kind of goes up these rocks a little bit. I'm just going to drag that up a little bit. There's some moss and some stuff that goes up here. It goes up here too. Grows around. Maybe a little bit over there. Whatever I do is going to help to break it up between what's behind and what's in front. So I'm kind of okay with a lot of this. All right, there we go. We got a nice green patch over there. I do want to add maybe a little bit of definition right here, just enough to let you know that these are two different areas. Is everybody still here? I feel like, I don't know. I feel like we're getting there. I think we're getting there. Don't everybody leave me. Okay, so I'm gonna paint. Well, I'm not gonna paint anything here. I'm gonna wait on that because I need to take a breath. I need to let this dry. I need to let my water dry. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix up a little bit for the mast here. I'm going to put a little bit of turquoise in with this color. Make this a little bluer. I'll make sure I'm still broadcasting. And this is how I like to do this. I'm going to make sure over here that my color's about right. I think it's about right. I'm just going to tap on my mast here. If it's not exactly perfect, I'm fine with that. I like it to be a little more perfect than not, but I like using the flat edge to make straight lines because even if you don't get it perfect, you get it close. And oftentimes, using that flat edge gives you some interest and detail in there that you wouldn't get with if you just did this by hand. All right, we got this little spreader in here too, and one down here. So if I were to do that by hand, it would just be an even line. It would be right there, and I think this just gives you a little bit more interest in what you're doing. And you look at it, and you still know it's a straight line. You still know it's a mast. Your eye isn't going to say, "Oh, that's got a few extra wiggles in it," but your eye's gonna say, "Well, there's a little extra interest in that." Just drop, 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 drop. Or, I guess you could say, I watched too much Bob Ross, and he would do something like that. Just blop, 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 blop. Put it in there, call it good, and don't worry about it because your eye is going to take care of everything. And he was probably right, to tell you the truth. All right. A little shadow in a couple of places there. So I'm looking at this up here on my monitor. Is this too small for everybody to see on their device? I know not everybody watches on a TV monitor. Some people watch on their phone or on a tablet. So I'm curious, is this too small? Should I do a oh man. I guess I wasn't paying attention to how wet this is. Got that just a little bit. Is this Sherry, you're still who has turquoise watercolor paint? How do you use and mix it? Who said that? Susie, turquoise is my favorite color here. Oh, how do I use it and how do I mix it? Look at it's a beautiful. Oh, look at that. It's such a lively, vibrant color blue. It's wonderful. How do I use it? I use it if I want something that's a little different. So this is my Phthalo Blue. All right, let me show you that. Right, whoops. Phthalo Blue is pretty cold. All right, there's Phthalo. Phthalo is cold, cold, cold. Look at that. This is Phthalo Blue yellow shade, and that's still a cold blue. I use my turquoise, which is a beautiful color. Anytime I want to mix, but I don't want it to mix with cold. But it's just such a lovely color of paint. Look at that. I love it. I love that color. That color to me could just be the water. But it's got this color, this turquoise to me has life if you just look at it like this. This Phthalo Blue has blue. That's blue, right? Here's my ultramarine. I'll just do a little comparison. There's my ultramarine, and that's fine. Here's cobalt, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with cobalt either. Cobalt's probably the bluest, the truest blue here. Cerulean, I like cerulean. It's a little opaque for me. But if you look at these, look at the life you get out of this. Look at how beautiful that color is. So if I want to mix, I'll mix it just like I will this, but it's just a warmer, a bit of a different color. And I use it lots of times for metal or for glass. I'll mix it with things with metal and glass because I think it does a good job mixing and making things look like metal or glass. Really do. So that's just a couple of quick ways that I use my turquoise. But again, I think it's a lovely, beautiful, lovely color. I absolutely adore it. Oh, why won't you dry? So, I'm having a little trouble here, I will not lie. This whole area down here is staying wet a lot longer than I ever thought it was going to. Susie, you have it. Who has turquoise? I'm still I have several different turquoise paints. Why do you never use it? Why would you? Oh, it's so nice. I bet if I threw a little bit of this Hansa Yellow in here right now, this is going to make a green that's going to pop right off the page. And that's just mixing it here. Look at, oh, let's pull it out. Look at that green. It's going to pop right off the page. It's so lovely. And I know if I make a green here with this phthalo, it's nice, but I don't think it has the life that this one has over here. I don't know, it's just such a nice color. Lovely, lovely, lovely color. Oh, I got a big drop of paint on there. I'm just trying to add, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to add just a little bit of roundness to this boat. Right now with this shadow. This boat probably, it bends in a couple of different dimensions. It bends this way and this way. So I want to add just a little bit of this color to represent that. I want to make this just a little stronger back here. Actually, I'm looking at these and I'm like, you know what? These boats aren't too bad. I actually like them. I don't think I'm ever going to be accused of being a great boat painter, but I think it looks really nice. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this harbor ball here kind of reddish. I don't know what to mix it with. It looks unnatural to me. Really? Okay. So here's my response to that. I mean, first of all, I get it, right? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you have to look at things differently. I totally get it. The thing I'm going to add is that I do a lot of mixing with Phthalo Blue, right? That Phthalo Blue that you saw there. I do a lot of mixing with that. A lot of the Impressionists used a lot of Phthalo Blue. And Phthalo Blue is a completely, horribly unnatural color. It really is an unnatural color. And once you mix it, and there is an art to it. There's definitely an art to mixing those colors. But once you've done it a while, and once you have a little handle on how to mix those colors, it really will help bring a number of things to life. It's one of those, I mean, you're right. It kind of does look unnatural, but it's one of those colors that can really add some pop or some zing to what you're doing, if you give it the chance to do it. It wants to work with you. Oh, I gotta get a reflection here. Let's see. How about turquoise green? I don't have a turquoise green. I know there is a greener turquoise than what I have here, but this is basically just what's right out of the M-Gram catalog. So if there's a different turquoise, I don't have it. I don't use it. I just use that. I could mix that turquoise with a green. All right, turquoise. Let's do it right on here. Turquoise and Phthalo Green, which will make like an iridescent pop of green. All right, it will be cold, but there it is. That's not so bad. Or turquoise. Now I've got a limited number of greens on my palette here, right? Turquoise and Cobalt Green. This is going to be muted because turquoise, or I'm sorry, because Cobalt Green is fairly opaque. But there you got two additional greens, and they're a bluey green. But I wouldn't be this I wouldn't be opposed to using. You could use this as some like faraway tree. If you did it really light, you do this as some faraway trees in the background. This one is a bit odd. I'm not sure exactly what I'll use that for, but run into a lot of that with some other colors too. That's true about Phthalo Blue. However, the Impressionists seem to be painting dreamy landscape. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe I was just dreaming of painting some landscapes when I put it on my palette. I don't know. I love the color though. I really do. There's a couple of windows on this one. I like the ball here that we just put on. I'm gonna put a hard line on the bottom of it. Give me that. Actually, this ball might be my favorite part of the whole painting. That little thing. I think that turned out great. Let's see. Oh boy. I've got a few. Here we go. This is where we're going to see. This is where we're going to see if I'm any good at painting lines or not. And I know the answer already, and the answer is not really. It could have been worse. I guess it could have been worse. Let's go one that way. Some rigging up that way. Got a little something on the top here. I don't know if I can really even see anything back here. I'll give a couple little somethings on there. Just a little bit of something in the water here. What else does this rigging do? I'm not even sure. Is there anything on here differently? I'm such a terrible coastalist, right? I don't pay attention to anything on the coast. I'm terrible. I'm really terrible. We do have some railing here. Let's put in a couple bits of railing here and there. There we go. I don't think we can see it. Oh, I do have a little outboard motor back here on this one that I drew. There's my little outboard motor. Just drop him on there. Sap green is a green I can work with, but that's about it. Oh, Liza, green is your nemesis. I always struggle with just about any green for some reason. They all seem unnatural. Yeah, but look at this. That's a lovely green. Actually, this is not a bad green either. After it's dried up, that's not a bad green. What does my normal green look like? So Cobalt Green. Let's look at that. Cobalt Green. There's my Cobalt Green, and my Olive Green, much darker. And then this is the green that's on here that I rarely ever use, which is Azo Green. Daniel Smith people call it green gold. There are my other greens. Now you want to talk about a color I don't know how to mix. It's that green gold. I don't know what to do with it. I wonder what phthalo green in there would look like. No, it just looks like a weird phthalo green. I don't know what to do with it. It's a cool color. I like it. But I don't have any idea what to do with this green gold. I think the time I bought it, I was probably watching too many Angela Fair videos. I know she loves green gold. And then I got it and I'm like, I don't have any idea what to do with that green. It just, to me, doesn't make any sense, that green. And that's okay. And that's okay. Okay. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's my best stuff. I don't have the passion around painting sailboats or boats that I have around painting, I don't know, birds or different animals or, you know, some other, I like painting pastries, some other things. So I think I'm always going to struggle with this a little bit. I actually think for right now, I've covered all the elements. This is what I'm looking at this going, I've covered all the elements. I'm just not sure how to bring this all to life. I'm really not. Because I'm not sure where to go with it. I think the boats are fine. I don't think that boat's fine. I think that boat is fine. Technically, I think the reflection is fine. Try red with the green gold. Red with green gold. Okay, I have Pyrrol Red. Let me try a little Pyrrol Red in with green gold. And I get red brown. I mean, it's a fine color. It's a really warm brown. Any more? Pyrrol Red. I don't know. It's never going to dull it down too much. That's really red. Pyrrol Red is pretty strong. I don't know, it's a nice color. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Natalie, you says you think, I'm hoping you're saying you think this turned out lovely, not this. Although, I don't know, some people might think that's lovely also. So, when I look at this, quite honestly to me, right, and I'll be brutally honest, my eye goes over to here. I like this little bit over here. I like this side. I actually kind of like this, and I kind of like the sky here. Again, could have done a few things different with the sky. not my strong suit. I'm getting better at skies, so I'm okay with that. I think what my problem with the boats is that they're angular, and I think I just kind of I kind of struggle with things that are too angular. I don't feel like I have the connection with things that have too many hard fast lines in them. So that's a me thing. But like I said, technically, I think if you look at that, you cut that out like that, and you look at it, you're going, that's a boat. You look at it again, you go, I see the boat, I see the reflection, I see the sail, it's curled up, it's in a, I don't know what you call that, it's all wrapped up, there's the mast, there's the rigging. Technically, I think it's good. The waves, I can live with. I'm not, again, I haven't spent a whole lot of time doing water, but I can live with the water, right? There's some interest in it. It's got some darker spots. It's got some lighter spots. There's some interest in the water, and I think I did need to make it a bit darker to make the boats stand out a bit more. I think had it been lighter, the boats would have totally been lost. Maybe I would have had to paint the boats a darker color. Other than that, I think it's fine. I don't have any problem with it. I think it's fine. I guess my problem with it when I'm looking at my thing is it's fine. And I don't want my painting to be fine. I want my paintings to be fantastic. But that's a me. That's a me thing. I need to learn to paint more things that are rectilinear, that have harder edges. I just don't have the understanding, or maybe I don't have the right technique to do it. Again, technically, I think they're fine. I just don't think they're exactly right. Next week, however, we're going to knock it out of the park because we're painting coneflowers. And I've painted coneflowers before. I have a distinct way in my mind. I want to paint those coneflowers. I think they're going to turn out fantastic. So until next week, everybody can go and they can paint their own coneflowers. I hope they turn out fantastic. If you want to post them on my Discord channel, that'd be awesome. I would love to see what they look like. I bet everybody else would love to see what it is that you did. And if you want to talk about how you painted it when we come here next week, that'd be awesome too. But I will put into Discord, and I'll try to put it in the community channel here on YouTube, what I have chosen, the actual one I'm going to paint. I'll probably try to put that out on Monday. And then after that, we are going to get right into doing some fall things, right? Some harvests and some fall, some Halloween, some Thanksgiving. We'll move into the holidays at the end of the year stuff. We're going to move right on into that. So until next week, thank you for helping to make my Wednesday enjoyable. I hope I was able to make some of your Wednesday enjoyable. Until then, have a great rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you back here 7 o'clock Pacific next week. Until then, thank you so much. Bye-bye.